Welcome to RV Talk Radio. Here we talk about RV living, RV lifestyles, and RV travel. We also celebrate the RV lifestyle that gives us the chance to do outdoor activities that we couldn't do in a normal lifestyle. So thanks for joining us. Grab yourself a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and let's talk about RVs. Before we get started, please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to see our future videos. This video is made possible by Rangerrob Poopy Bags, available on Amazon right now. Hey,
buddy.
Talk Radio. So yeah, we're a couple like 2 minutes late, so we apologize, everybody. And my camera went blank like 1 minute before the show, so I actually had to restart the software.
That's because I have a face for radio, and since my face came on board, it kind of killed the camera.
I think you might have scared it for sure. So today I have David Helms with me from rvprepper, and he's a very going to be a very active RVer coming up next month, 2 months.
Yep. Yeah, mid-April.
And then I'm a very inactive RVer. I'm more of a critic, so I think that's why everybody loves me. So anyway, before we get going, I want to make sure and let everybody know you can find RV Talk Radio all over the place. We're on all the different platforms: Spreaker, iHeart Radio, Spotify, all that good stuff. And we're on our radio stations, which we have amped up big time. There's 3 stations now, but the main one that RV Talk Radio is on is Good Talk Radio. That's goodtalkradio.com. So there's just no excuse for you not to listen to our show, because we're everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. So so how you doing today, David?
Hey, we're doing pretty good, Rob. How about yourself?
Oh, not too shabby. I've actually gotten some nasty notes from my listeners saying that I haven't been doing enough shows, and I don't know why, because I'm always belly aching, or maybe because we're too truthful. But one of the things I want to mention is, so I have an RV. I love my RV. Just haven't been using my RV because we bought this property and been kind of busy. So I'll talk about more what mine's all about. But so I try my best to my thing. I'm all try my best to catch some shows. And to me, after all these years of doing these shows and all these years of making our own videos and RV Travel Buddy and all that stuff, it's just like watching the same shows over and over, just different people in it. You ever notice that?
Oh yeah, I do quite a bit.
It's like a lot of times I'm seeing the same campgrounds, and I'm seeing the same talk about certain things. The only thing I'm kind of noticed is what's changed is when they do talk about how COVID has affected the RV full timing and traveling, and that's definitely put a little bit of a twist in some of the people's stories. But a lot of them, when they're doing shows or think they're talking about something that's brand new, it's like, you're about the 1,000th person to talk about solar or whatever, or winterizing and all that. It's just over and over and over. So I can guarantee that if there's new beginners out there, they're definitely going to learn a lot of things. But as they start subscribing to a lot of shows, it's the same stuff over and over. So maybe that's why we've always been a little bit on the popular side, because we tend to look at the different aspects of it, because we focus on RV lifestyle here. Sure. And we're going to be talking about the different lifestyles. And so starting with you're not a full timer.
Nope.
You have a base, right?
Correct.
And you're out of Montana?
Montana.
Yes, sir, Bob. And
for sure,
we're talking right now. You kind of got some pretty cold weather right now, but you're getting ready to go for a extended trip on your RV. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're going to do about 6 weeks this spring, then to come back for a couple of months to finish up a big video project for the state, and then about mid-August we're going to be gone for about 4.5 months.
Wow!
So down to the southeast to go see the grandkids and kids down in Florida, and back up around the south end of the U.S. and then back up here about Thanksgiving.
Wow. So before we get into details of some of the things you're going to do, what kind of RV are you using?
I'm using a fifth wheel. It's a Grand Design model. We bought it in 2020. Went from being in a bus for 16 years, a diesel
Wow.
pusher, to a fifth wheel. I don't ever want to go back.
Yeah, you got to admit, a fifth wheel feels more homey.
It really does. And I wish, was the bus more comfortable in some things? Yes, but in others, no. But it's a great lifestyle for us. My wife really likes it. She likes pulling the fifth wheel better than driving the bus because she sits lower on the highway as
Definitely.
opposed to sitting up top of it. And we've been through some pretty vicious winds. This past spring, we went out for our daughter got married in Fargo, North Dakota, and we were hitting 55, 60 mile an hour crosswinds going across. And it always blows like that in North Dakota.
Yeah.
But we had great controllability in it. So it's a 2020 Grand Design 28 BH. So it's good and functional. It's comfortable. It's
Yeah.
not the biggest. It's not the smallest.
I've had a 40-foot Discovery for a while now, but I've had fifth wheels before and after. And yeah, it's amazing in the crosswinds. And, you go into Arizona, places, certain highways, you get those crosswinds, and there's something else. And it's amazing how
Mhm.
well we did with a fifth wheel as opposed to driving a bus. Or we had a diesel pusher too. Because I'd be just driving a diesel and a big gust come along, and it would literally shove me into the other lane, and just out of the blue, like totally unexpected. And I've never had that kind of problem with a fifth wheel. So I mean, that's definitely a thumbs up to me, the fifth wheels. But I've also noticed if you go, when you go to the shows, which I haven't been to an RV show in a while, when you go to look at the buses, they tend to all look the same, just a little twist here and there, but it's still the same kind of bench. Everything's
Sure.
kind of the same, and the bedroom's in the back. And there's exceptions to the rule, but I know when you get into the fifth wheel, it's an adventure because you
Yeah.
never know. You get in there, and it could be they look totally different, every one of them.
Mhm.
And that's what I always liked about our fifth wheels. It felt like a home.
Yeah, it
Um,
does.
so yeah. So when you head out, your first trip's going to be what, in a month and a half?
Yeah. Wait till
And
for
and
sure the
what's
snow quit falling. So we're going to head from here. We're going to make a few stops on the way over. We're going to Fargo and then West Minnesota, and then we're going to go into the Twin Cities, not down in the cities itself. Our youngest daughter graduates from University of Minnesota. Yay!
sweet.
And then we're
Youngest or oldest? Did you say youngest?
youngest,
So you got this will be the last one, huh?
last one,
Sweet.
and she's done it in a 4-year plan.
Oh, nice.
She's done really good, so I'm very happy about that. But
Yeah,
very dedicated, studious young lady she is.
good for her. And both of our kids got their degrees, but they actually didn't get them till closer to their 30s.
Oh, it's you
But
can
they
do
got
it.
them.
Right. They're gainfully employed, I hope.
Oh yeah, they're both doing great. My daughter's just she's doing way too well.
Yeah.
And my son, he's a videographer like you.
Mhm.
Well, like whatever. So he does the high end stuff. So, yeah, so that's a hard business, but he's doing great, really good.
Very good business. So
Yeah,
we just do
that's
select
his
jobs.
passion.
Yeah, you
He
got to
looks at
have
my
for that.
he does he looks at my videos. He's just like, Dad. It's like, son, I kick out a video every day. I'm not going to be doing this intense kind of editing like he does, but he does beautiful stuff. But if my videos like his, I'd probably have 250,000 subscribers too. But
Yeah.
nah.
Would also never have any time of the day. You'd be at 23 hours and 20 minutes before you got to bed. So
I know. Yeah,
it's
definitely.
amazing how it can suck up your life.
So what kind of rig are you pulling your fifth wheel with?
I got a 2019 Chevy Silverado Duramax long
And
wheelbase, and it
and what's the size of that? Is it 250, 350?
it's a
Kind of?
F3. It's not an F. That's a Ford. Oh my gosh. They
Well,
all run
general.
together. I mean, if you took the emblems off of them, I don't think you really know too much of a difference.
That's so true.
It's a 3500.
Okay, yeah. So you're the same with mine. I got the dually, but Mine's I'm an old dually, but I had to laugh. My electrician was over here. I had to move my tractor, and he couldn't understand why I was sitting on the tractor waiting. And it's like, well, I'm waiting for the glow plugs.
That's
He's
right.
laughing. He goes, "Oh, I remember those." I go, "Hey, my truck still has glow plugs. Shut up."
That's funny as all heck. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my truck is a 2002, and I get in there, turn that key. I gotta wait for the light to come off for the
Oh,
glow
yeah.
plugs already.
Those
And
were the days.
it's a good truck, though. I
Oh,
have no desire to move, but it is nice when you can get into the trucks and just turn them over. But it's not that long a wait. You're talking 30 seconds.
sure. You got a 6.7 in that, 7
Yeah,
through?
the 7.3-liter
Yeah,
engine in it. Yeah,
7.3. Yeah,
that's
that's a
the last.
great,
That's the last year they made them.
great engine.
Yeah, everybody's told me never sell that truck.
Don't get it rebuilt. Oh my Lord. If it ever, how many miles you got on it?
200 and say 25.
Oh, hell, it's
200.
just getting broke in.
That's what everybody tells me. It's like so weird, and it feels like it. Dude, drives great. So
Hmm.
because I've had other cars that we've taken over 200,000 and they're just falling apart, but
Yeah.
not the truck.
Yep.
So yeah, so I bet you're getting kind of antsy to get out of there. You've probably been a little bit
Oh,
snowstruck.
oh yeah. I'm ready. I've been ready to go. Absolutely. We finished one project for the state. Matter of fact, just last week.
Yeah, what kind of
And
projects are they?
it was a voiceover to a PowerPoint presentation for training classes. I
Mm,
don't want to say too much because I got that
yeah,
NDA there.
yep,
Uh, but and it had people that came into the studio we have set up here at the house and did the voiceover for it, and they had never done voiceover before. So that's always an exciting time. Then they find out just how hard of work that truly is,
yep,
and they're like, "Wow, I can understand." I said, "Well, here comes the fun. I got to edit all this, all your
yeah. The
uh,
only
uh,
time I do
and
voiceovers is when I do Ranger Rob cooking with Ranger Rob shows.
mhm.
I usually do voiceovers for that, so I can kind of, something's cooking, I can say simmer for so long and stir, 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 and add this, add that, and so to try to do it while you're cooking is just it's better just have the camera on full time and edit the little different spots out,
That's the only
But
way to do it.
I mean,
Absolutely,
but once they're done, having a narrated cooking show is really it's quite nice actually.
sure. I enjoy
So
them that way.
yeah, but
So,
they're more work. There's no doubt more work. So I got a question. I know I've asked this before and I don't remember, but how did you come up with the name RV Prepper?
well, that's a that's a great question. I'm on an RV and I'm a prepper. No, it's there's nobody else doing it. And they say if you do something unique, people will listen to the show. Well, it's doing okay. I mean, it is definitely a niche genre that we got going there. But I've
Yeah,
always been a prepper all my life. We, kind of grew up that way between grandparents and my parents, and then living in the Southeast with hurricane season and stuff. You always had to be a prepper. I mean, you had to have stuff ready because you never know if you had a storm roll in and how many days, weeks, months that you wouldn't have power.
I know.
Uh,
That's what and you'll get a kick. I'm sure you heard this, but like when the Texas thing happened, they had some
yeah.
interviews and there'd be some gal in there going, yeah, power went out and I didn't know how to boil water. It's like, are you kidding me? A
No, they're
cheap
not.
Coleman stove or something, you know?
Well, and it's funny that you say that because we've forgotten a lot of the old ways. People
Yeah,
don't know it, and nobody's been there to teach them. And it's been a paradigm shift in reality for a lot of people. So
yeah. I mean, because some people are so passive or so, like it'll never happen to me thing. You almost need a crisis for they can wake up a little bit.
yeah,
And so I think a lot of Texas people got woke up
I think they did too. You know,
because they just don't expect that kind of weather. And it's been like 30 years since they ever had weather like that.
nobody
And
expects
you
that
got a
stuff
whole
in
new
Texas.
generation there,
Yeah,
it's like, oh, that never happens in Texas. And they
guess
got
what?
their asses kicked.
Man, I hurt for those folks and everything. It just
Oh yeah.
they didn't see it coming, and it came into them, and bammo. So
And
it's
that was really cold. That was really cold weather too, which was
unbelievable.
I mean, I wasn't like 25 or 30. We were talking about some serious numbers.
0
And
to 10 degrees.
yeah, in Texas is like, wow.
They don't
I mean, we
insulate
hardly
houses
get
down
that
there for
here.
that.
What's that?
They don't insulate houses down there for that.
No, they're not designed for that kind of
No,
stuff. So what a shocker. But what a lesson learned if they didn't get hurt from it. Of
yeah,
course, a lot of people's homes did.
sure.
Um, but I mean, if they got through that okay, I mean, I'm sure that there is like, all right, we're gonna get a generator. Oh, we're gonna get a little Coleman stove or or maybe a little filter or something that they could just get the basics. I mean, people just don't realize the basics are all you're really trying to go for.
Mhm.
And then everything else is, luxury. But, can you make water? Can you filter water? Can you boil water?
Yep.
And after that, it's all about heat and shelter and all that other stuff. But
And that's one of the reasons why I started a show is to be able to get people aware of what things are, but also to encourage them to whatever they buy to use it, take it and use it. Don't leave it in the package and say, "Well, I've got it now, so I'm ready." No, you got to get out and you got to use it. So, and it's I've had a couple of people come back to me say, "Thanks for telling me about that because it really made a huge difference." And since I now understand how to use it and I didn't cut my fingers off, uh,
yeah,
it's a good deal. So, but I always tell
yeah,
people
yeah.
try to have 3 different ways of being able to have some type of power and light, and then
Mhm.
several different ways of creating fire. So,
Fire. And to me, it's like that's so easy. The one thing that's been throwing me lately is I quit smoking maybe 7 years ago.
good for you.
And so my wife, well, I still vape, but um, it's I'm totally different. I feel totally different since I quit smoking. But the big thing always hits me is like my wife will go, "Oh, let's light some candles." And it's like I'm always used to reaching in my pocket, and I
Yeah.
always had a lighter. And now I go, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
It's-
Where's my
and I
lighter?
do
Oh my
I
goodness.
always carry a pocket knife, but now I'm kind of like, guys, you might want to always keep a little bic in your, a little bic lighter in your pocket or something.
Absolutely.
And I just realized how many times I got caught not having a lighter or be able to make fire out of a random request. And so it's like kind of embarrassing considering I'm a prepper,
Sure.
and it's not like I don't have 500 lighters in a drawer, but to have it on you, basics of life, a little big lighter. You can get the little teeny ones too. Just stick it in your
Yep.
pocket,
I
and
like
then
taking a zip tie and zipping around it so it can't detonate itself to leak the fluid out,
yeah.
trimming it off. And
I
then
know.
I'll
He's like,
wrap
being
some
a prepper, I've got so many. I keep like a couple of regular things in my pocket all the time. So now I sound, people can hear me coming. I got so many things rattling.
yeah,
I
well,
always carry a
exactly.
knife. Always keep a chapstick. This is a lot of basics, but
And folks, chapstick can be used for an emergency light source as a candle, so can crayons.
yeah, yeah. So,
I've
but
done it.
yeah,
Use it.
I've been like I think I last week on Easy Street, um, I uh, I just every once in a while I watch some shows and I get so Twitter pated about people not being ready, especially watching the Texas stuff. And it's like I get on and I like, guys, please listen to this video. Don't
Yeah.
just please. It's like, and I'm probably much more extreme than they are as preppers. And that's not the issue. I'm not saying, okay, I've got 6 months to a year. I'm good to go. I do like to show that I practice what I preach. So if I say I'm concerned about water, you should too. Here's what I'm doing. You don't have to do it like I'm doing it, but do something. For goodness sakes,
Mhm.
do something. And you would think my daughter, she doesn't prep as much prepping as I talk about. Actually, she puts a little bit away, but she just
Our son, who's the oldest that lives down in Florida, he preps, and the other 2, they don't. I mean, that's just the way it is.
yep. You would
The
think
thing
as much shows like you and I do, our kids, all of our kids would be
oh,
preppers.
they never listen to my shows.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it's I catch hell from the kids and because I love flashlights. I've got so many flashlights. They're everywhere and they're very utilitarian. You know that.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. I've got 4 different ones in the truck. I've got a couple in each of the get home bags in the back of the truck, and then I've got 11 of them upstairs within an arm's reach in places. And
Yeah.
be surprised, they all get used.
And another thing is kind of a nightmare to me, and I've never had this happen, but you can feel it could happen when you're boondocking. But if you talk about RVs and prepping,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I found myself after doing a week boondocking at Ocean Shores once or something, and realized just how much I was really depending on my solar and my generator and everything like that. And then and of course, I start thinking scenarios, and it wasn't too long after that. I bought one of those 1 week supply for 2 people of dried food to keep because it was so compact I could easily fit in the fifth wheel.
Sure.
And I found myself prepping on that because I'm thinking, okay, let's say you're boondocking. Well, that uh, when we're boondocking, our tanks were getting full. We had, really uh, try not to use too much water and things like that. And it's a different lifestyle when you're boondocking because you got limited resources. So you start thinking about that kind of stuff. And boondocking to me in an RV is like, uh, some folks say, "Well, I'm good to go. I got an RV. If a disaster happened, and all that." And I'm going, "Oh, the problem is like, it's a small space. You can't put that much food in it. Your refrigerators are typically reliant on propane if you don't have electricity. It's
Correct.
all limited resources. What happens when the propane goes away?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you're not plugged in? And what happens when the water tanks get full and if you can't move at the time and empty, keep the cycle going and empty your tanks, refill your tanks, and all that stuff, you'd be in a world of hurt and hard times in an RV over time.
Real fast. Real
You
fast.
might be the one, might be in great shape for the first week where everybody else is hurting, but
Mm-hmm.
after that, you're just a week or two behind, unless you've got some resources in place for prepping. As far as a lot of guys are really gone hardcore into solar, so a lot of them can maybe keep their powers up, and if they have an electric refrigerator they might be okay for coolant, but um it's
Well, I'll tell you, if you take Texas, for instance, and I don't know how many days they went without sun over there with the snow. I think it was about 3 or 4 of them.
Hi
You know
Bill,
what?
by the way.
Pardon me?
Oh, this guy Bill just came on. I missed his note here. I don't know. I got it's highlighted on the screen.
Hey, Bill. But solar's only going to last you so long if you got sunlight.
I
And
know.
everybody thinks, well, I got solar, I'm good to go. And you got to have a combination of things to cover yourself, especially if you have a residential refrigerator on there, because they suck up a ton of power.
That they do. So, I kind of told you lately, I've been, I monitor other shows and stuff because for me, I have a 3625 Montana, beautiful machine. I love it. And,
Beautiful.
but I also bought 5 acres at a homestead and I have mine set up for by the way, when you live in a country, nobody wants to visit you. It's either too far away, all that stuff. But if they do come, they want to be, you want to make them really comfortable. So I'm actually wiring in a 50 amp plug in our shop next to the RV. So this summer, when they come up, they can run the air conditioners and everything.
Nice.
That's always been a little bit of a problem. So I got this beautiful guest house.
Uh,
If you look at my RV that way, because that's the only use I'm getting out of my RV right now. And that's kind of one of the things I wanted to talk a little bit in this show about is, we talked about um, downsizing, upsizing, and then different varieties of use. And for us, it's a guest house. For us, it was also a purpose for us to have up here before Sherry's father passed away. We were coming up here. We left the fifth wheel, so we had accommodations anytime we came up here, and not imposing on the family at all. And we felt comfortable because you're in your own space. Like, have you ever visited somebody's house and you stay in their house? It feels weird.
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I, I'd rather put my guests in the fifth wheel where they feel comfortable and there's restrooms and they can relax, take a break. Maybe, it's too much family drama, or whatever. You feel like you have a separate home and
Yeah, they can pass
privacy.
gas without being judged or anything like that.
Yeah, there you're talking. So, So I'm not getting much use out of my RV, which got me to thinking about the upsizing and downsizing. So I'll kind of throw you my dilemma and then we'll add on to that. But so I've got a beautiful 3625 and I bought it new. So,
Mhm.
I paid 70 some odd $1,000 for it at the time and financed it. And, and I am still underwater. There's no way that I could sell my RV for what I owe on it until more time goes by. So
Wow.
it's rotting
Sure.
in a sense because what Sherry and I would love right now is a smaller RV, like
Mhm.
a Class C, 26 foot, 24 foot, something where it's kind of more of a weekender, enough
Mhm.
room to be comfortable, restroom and cooking, and can fit 2 dogs and possibly a cat and take off for a 3-day weekend and stuff like that because Sherry's back to working again for
Mhm.
a couple more years at least. Um, so we're kind of still tied to we're back to kind of being weekend warriors.
Yeah.
And what I own is an overkill, big
True.
overkill, but I can't get rid of it without taking it in shorts, basically. And everybody does this. Everybody knows they're underwater on their RVs when they do this anyway. So, but they play the little trade up game.
Oh, yeah.
But if I do a trade up game for a smaller RV, it's 10,000, 20, $12,000 out of my pocket to just make up the difference
Sure.
in order to get rid of my RV to go into a smaller RV. So I'm stuck until I actually got to wait maybe 1 or 2 more years. The balance that and we're actually overpaying on it now because we can,
Mhm.
but I mean under normal circumstances, I think we financed it for 10 or 12 year type thing, and it takes forever to get those numbers down. And
Sure.
so to get the numbers down to what the worth of the RV is. And
Yep.
and I'm talking out loud. Most people go, Rob, that was a really bad investment. Tell me many RVs are a good investment.
There are no RVs that are investments.
Yes.
They're a pleasure purchase, and it's you just have to look at it that way.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm grateful I still have it. And Sherry and I will probably just because it needs to be moved around and stuff like that, we'll take it out for a weekend. We got lots of places here in Central Oregon to go take off for a weekend. Or maybe we'll go over this, Oregon coast and just go to a casino and park in their back area and stuff and still be comfortable or
Mhm.
and then go check the beach out because taking an RV to the main beach sometimes it's terrible in the summer. You're
Oh, I
better
bet
to
it
go to a
is. That's
casino.
a nightmare. Yeah, we were mapping out places to go as we're going down south and everything, and
Hmm.
just getting ready to make the reservations, but I'm waiting to see if they have another lockdown of the country. I'm gonna give it another couple of weeks before I start making those reservations. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm as nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
I uh yeah, the Oregon coast can be tricky. We did get in like Seaside's got a humongous um, thousand trails,
Oh, I bet.
and so it's a good sized place. So the likelihood that you might be able to squeeze in there might not be too hard, um, but typically Sherry and I, when we know we're getting close to really popular spots, we'll go to a casino that may be 20, 30 miles out and use that, enjoy the casino in the evening or for dinners and stuff, and then do a road trip
Yeah,
to where we want to go. And I'm guaranteed to have a place to stay, but you tend to be boondocking when you do that too. But um, that's how we kind of handled those really popular destinations was finding places outside of it within 20, 25 miles
sure.
and throw the dogs in the back seat
Yeah, go have a
and
good time.
yeah, so it worked out really good. So
Those aren't dogs you have anyway, they're horses.
I know. I
Those
gotta tell you, I've showed you that German Shepherd I got.
Oh, yeah.
That dog, I have never seen a dog shed so much. And when they grow up, they're going, oh, they're cute, and they shed a little bit and stuff. And then they hit like 1 year, and then they
Puberty.
have this thing called fur blowout. And it's
Mhm.
like, what the hell are you talking about? Because I have a chocolate lab. It's they're always shedding, but not like all of a sudden out of the blue. It's like Sherry's just pulling mats out of this cute little dog and it's like and she's shedding for no reason whatsoever. But I've never seen so much damn fur come
Yep.
off a dog.
Do you have a Furminator?
A Furminator?
There's
What's
a
a
comb
Furminator?
called the Furminator,
What
and it
is it?
just you basically brush them with it, and it pulls all that undercoat right out. It just
Well,
it's
we
the
got to do
best thing.
something.
Oh, it's the best thing since Rangerrob poopy bags.
Yeah, Rangerrob Poopy Bag. Oh yeah, I gotta hold my poop. So yeah, guys, we are sponsored by Rangerrob Poopy Bags. You can get these on Amazon. Don't
Best
leave home
freaking
without them.
poopy
They're lemon
bags.
scented. They have handles. They're deep. They're waterproof, and they're eco-friendly. They will break down in a landfill. They're not um,
Biodegradable.
biodegradable. If they were, you'd be paying $20.
A piece.
But they do break down in like most there's some that don't break down in the landfills very well, but we've tested ours. We actually left them outside, and they actually start turning the powder once they've been in the sun or out in the for about, it took about 4 or 5 months. But when they're new, I mean, they're strong as a horse, but once you put them in the elements, they start breaking down. It was amazing, and I actually did a video about it. So it's good news that they do that. But anyway, Amazon, you can get those. They're under $10, so can't go wrong.
They make
So,
great gifts for
the
your
other thing I
folks
got to push.
that
Did
have
you see my
RV.
new hat? You see this new hat?
I see that. Keep on rednecking.
Yeah,
Like a family
it
reunion for
says
me.
keep on rednecking.
Ah,
I decided that's a cool hat, so I made it. And so they're on Amazon now. If you want one, just go to Amazon, type in "keep on rednecking ball cap," and they're just cool. I like the dad hats, the shorter ones. I don't like the tall ones. Um, I guess it depends on what size, how your head's designed. But I
I
like
got a
these little
tall
short.
chrome dome. I need the tall ones.
Do you?
Oh,
I see. I'm kind of like you, but yeah, you're a little
yeah.
taller.
My head's
But
huge up top.
every time I wear those other kind, I've got one. I made a Rangerrob hat with regular size, and it's
Mhm.
like it looks humongous on my head.
Yeah.
But I stick with the dad hats. I like these.
There you
So
go.
yeah, if you get a chance, guys, it'll help the channel. It's all good, and you get something fun. Keep on rednecking. So
Hey, can I talk
um,
about something serious for a minute?
sure.
We were talking about this, Bill, in the before show, and we got to take care of ourselves, so we can RV and have good times and protect our family. And I've got a friend that runs a podcast on YouTube and a couple other places, but he's also an author, and he wrote a book series called 299 Days. And I just found out last night that he developed colon cancer
Oh yeah.
with
Oh yeah.
everything that
This
went
is
through with
important.
Washington State, and
This is important to listen to, guys. So go
and
ahead.
he needed a colonoscopy, and they kept postponing them because of COVID-19 there. They wouldn't let people do this, but you could go in and get LASIK eye surgery, but you couldn't get your colonoscopy. And I just had mine 2 weeks ago, and everything's good.
Yay.
Of course, my kids say I'm a perfect ass anyway, but he ended up in the emergency room, and he had to have a colon resection, and he's going to have to go through chemotherapy. So, suck it up, Buttercup. Go get yours done, and that way you live long, long time. Now, he's going to be okay. They caught it to the point where he can do it, but still, what he has to go through with chemo and everything else like
Yeah.
that. So, Glenn, we hope you get to feeling better, buddy, and we're praying for you.
Yeah. And his podcast, what kind of podcast is it?
It's Prepping 2.0.
So you can always pass on the guy if you want some good news. Is I would love to have a prepping show on Good Talk Radio,
Let's do it.
but it's got to be done in a fixed time, because that's the problem with radio is you do a half hour or you do an hour or two, whatever, and you can't change that. It's
Yeah.
got to always stay that way, because the radio stations have programming they have to follow.
Yeah, you have to have breaks at certain times, and he does a couple of radio shows.
Yeah, so he
it's
probably
kinda
knows that then.
yeah, he does it really well. He's been doing it for a few years now, so
Yeah, tell him to give me a holler, and we'll get them syndicated.
sure, I'll do
Yeah.
that.
I have the power. I own the thing. That's right.
That'll work, dude.
So Yeah, we just brought on a couple. It was kind of funny. I got somebody in Oregon. I can't remember his name, Mike something. Anyway, he just came on board with a news show, and I've got some really good new shows that have come on Good Talk Radio, and some of them they try so hard to be so professional that it's like, are you kidding me? Like this guy goes, oh, I got a little PDF I need you to sign that, I'm going to do this for you, all that stuff. And it's like, I just listened to the show a couple of times and going, dang, that's a good show. And so before he even got that thing to me and stuff, I had them all set up. And he goes, I tell you what, I have a long form too. Do you want to fill my form out? But you're on my radio station already. I said, I'll send you a copy to read over. Like I got to read his. Do you really want to go through the rigmarole of filling out a PDF and printing it out and then scanning it again and stuff? Or do you just want to go forward? The guy goes, you're cool. It was the easiest radio station he ever got on.
That is quite unique because most of the time it's a pain in the buttocks.
Oh yeah. I mean, but when you hear a good show, it's a good show. It's just like, dang, they got, guy knows what he's doing. So, yeah. So, we still, when I tell people they can be syndicated, I still want to kind of listen to one show and make sure it's not bad.
Oh yeah.
Because you'll get these guys, I got a great show, and get in there and they're saying a dirty word every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's like, can you guys not always swear? I mean, I don't mind a little bit.
I'll let a couple of them fly today. I'm under control.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing real good on this show. So I don't know if you caught last night. We did She Said, He Said, and I kind of did some clickbait. I didn't kind of mean to, but I told the crew, I go, that's it. We're going to do a show that's really going to get everybody riled up. We're going to talk about adult toys. So I put in big, bold words, adult toys in there, right? So I get the crew in there, and some of them are going, oh, man, this is going to be one of those shows. Like they're going to, and of course, you got to remember, all of us have, either careers or stuff like that, or jobs and stuff. And so do you think I'm going to put any of those people in a position where it could hurt them at work or something?
Oh, it's they might want to be in a position if you're talking adult toys.
I know. So I told him I'm doing slideshows and everything. So I didn't tell him what I was doing. So I made a slideshow, and I started the first slide with like some cute little handcuff things, and I thought, they're going to think it's going to get into really grody stuff. And so the next slide, it's a sports car.
Oh yeah.
Then the next one's a boat. I said, now these are adult toys.
That's right.
I had one person watching the show going, that's misrepresentation. I was expecting a lot more. And I'm going, really, do we really have to show this stuff? It's like, and of course, all my crew is kind of older, and we have one young person. Anyway, so I think they're a little disappointed, but at the same time, super relieved.
Oh, I bet.
So was I.
It's probably a BSM, a butt sucking moment for a couple of them.
Yeah, and I have some relatively, strict Christian family over in the East Coast, and we're on the same wavelength. But if I would have gone that far with a show like that, they would have disowned me, I think. So I made it safe. We got through the show safely.
Oh, that's a good thing. It's you got to keep an open mind to a lot of things, and everybody's just so uptight right now. It's just, they say everybody needs to take a deep breath and relax and go and enjoy life.
Yeah, that was one of the things we were talking about, and it's good with this show too. Is next week we're going to talk about social barriers and things like that. And I don't know if when I worked at an aerospace company, big company, and so we had all kinds of diversity. And,
oh yeah.
And in like the 80s and 90s, like let's say you and I were friends at Boeing, and I could easily go, well, why don't you take care of that? I hear bald people are smarter than people with hair, whatever. You could make a little joke, and we'd joke about our little differences. Or somebody who's like, I have a friend, it's on She Said, He Said, and I can say his name's George, and he's Hispanic. And we worked together at Boeing, and we could make little jokes like, we probably need to go get some of your food. Let's get tacos today. And he'd laugh like, oh, these aren't good tacos. And it was fun. We could embrace everybody's cultures and differences in a fun way.
Mhm.
And at the same time, he make fun of me because I'm fat or I'm bald or I don't care. A good friend, we could have a lot of good chuckles with all that. And
Absolutely.
that was how it was in the 80s, a little bit into the 90s, and then something started changing. And now everybody's uptight and nobody can embrace each other's differences, and cultures can be so much fun to tease each other about, and in a positive way. And we didn't really even look at color as much as we did as culture. Like I had a big crew of maybe 2/3 of my crew was Asian, so we had
Mhm.
so many neat things to learn because they came from different parts of the country, and some of the food they bring for lunches are like, are you kidding me? Some were
Yeah.
delicious, some were like, we better burn that microwave. But it was still funny. I mean, it was fun. We didn't look at each other that way. We looked at each other. Our differences were cool,
Sure.
and now it's totally seems to be lost. If we could get back to that, a lot of stress would go away.
I think so. I think it would.
And
Did
I
you
know there's folks that can still do that. I mean, I don't know if it's just our generation that can still be like that with our friends, um,
pretty much, Rob, pretty much.
but the youngins, boy, they're just like they're just waiting. They're like a mousetrap.
Yep.
A lot of them, it's like they're just waiting for you to slip.
Yep.
And it's
Ready to
like,
pounce.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
have you been keeping up with what's going on with the internal combustion image?
The the what again?
The internal combustion image. Everybody's so uptight about internal combustion engines.
Yeah,
So it's become a big image thing. They want to go electric vehicle, electric vehicle. And General Motors announced about 2 weeks ago they're going to go and eliminate all internal combustion engines through their manufacturing by 2035.
good luck with that.
And they're going to go all electric. And I'm
So
like,
how are you going to pull your fifth wheel?
well, exactly.
I
And
don't know many 18 wheelers that are all electric either.
oh, they're working with that right now with Tesla. Then there's Nikola, and Nikola is not doing real well, but Tesla's got a viable product. They haven't started production yet because they can't build the batteries fast enough, and they have a silicon chip shortage right now, and they
Hmm.
can't get the chips to control all the electronics. But it'll be able to take an 80,000 pound truck and go from 0 to 60 in 15 seconds.
Wow.
Well, electric direct drive is something else, and they've got them in 300-mile range capacity and 500-mile range. Of course, those trucks are $180,000 for the 500-mile range and 150 for the 300-mile range.
I can't even afford one with a combustion engine.
But what's
A
wild
built,
is the payback on them is pretty quick. 2 years for the purchase of the truck for what it saves you in fuel.
huh? I guess that would be true.
But
Except
how are you going to charge it?
unless they start charging us for electric, right?
Oh, they're going to. It's going to. We talk about the Texas grid going down from the
Yep.
storm. I think the more and more electric vehicles that get out there, the harder the grid's going to be. So it's going to be a
Yep.
changer.
So Bill
Ford's
was saying that he was almost afraid to look at someone today at work because you don't know what offends anybody anymore, and I totally agree. I had to retire early. The stress of I left that aerospace company for quite a while, and I had my own businesses and stuff. And 2008 kicked my butt, and I ended up going back into the aerospace industry. So for 5 years, I had to work in that workforce again,
Mhm.
and I could hardly talk without getting in trouble
Yep.
because I'm just too much of a redneck. And it was a very stressful 5 years. Not the work wasn't that bad; it was the people, and I was afraid of myself. I was like, because I'm open and I talk freely, and I'm not used to being not being able to talk freely, I just say something stupid that just kind of slips, and
Oh yeah. You're
off
you're
to HR.
you're talking to a guy that got called by the CEO of the company to come to a training seminar for cultural sensitivity.
Yeah, I had some of those as a manager at Boeing. I had some sensitivity areas where it was really rough. I thought I was done for, but I made it through. But
Yeah, I didn't have
um,
any choice, but what I went through with somebody on the telephone about computer problems, and the support was overseas. He had never had to call that, and they had switched to overseas support. And while I was at the location for this training, which was where headquarters were, second day into it, he came and got me out of class. He goes, "Go home." I said, "Why?" He goes, "I got the guy." "What guy?" "I got the guy on the phone that you dealt with, and I don't blame you now. Just don't do it again." I just,
yep,
okay.
yeah. So I was really glad to get out of that place at 55. I just as soon as I was 55, I was out the door, and I've never looked back.
There you go.
But it would have been nicer to stay a little longer and get the pension numbers up a little higher, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, even with RVing, so if you decide you go full timing and maybe you can make money, but you won't be making as much as you did at a company or whatever,
Mhm.
you'll find a way to manage. You don't, maybe you're used to making 5,000 a month and maybe you can only make 35 when you're, maybe even after you're retired or using social security or, in that realm, you'll be all right.
Mhm.
You change it up a little. And, um, so yeah, I don't make the kind of money I did when I was in aerospace, but we're doing fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
I had to make
your your
it
health
takes
is
about a
worth a
year
lot
or
more than the
so,
money.
but yeah, it's just, so I don't know. So people are worrying about, maybe I want to full time and retire early and go hit the road or something. But they're just not used to. It's like, well, I won't be making as much money. It's like, deal with it. Knock out some of the stupid things you do every day, and you'll have enough money.
You
So
know, my wife has always enjoyed Dave Ramsey, and everybody basically knows,
yes.
don't
Hmm?
spend any money, don't put anything on a credit card. Um, that's hard to do.
Yep.
I admire him for being able to do what he did. But if you take that snowball effect and knock as much stuff down, stupid stuff that you spend money on, you'd be surprised. I'm down to about 20% of what I made at the company I work for,
Yeah.
and I've got more disposable income now, and I have a lot more fun. So,
Yeah, I'm the same way, except I'm actually think I'm living on a lot less than that,
wow.
from before.
Mhm.
But we also knocked off, because we had a house and we were able to sell things off, and then we used it against all debt and stuff. Now, we just don't have any debt, and
And
so,
it's nice,
um,
and
yeah. So one of the things I always practice and preach with prepping is we buy $200 worth of precious metals every month.
mhm.
We put money aside, and it's really easy. It wasn't easy when I was working, but it's
No.
super easy now.
Yep.
Just because it was painful to get say, all right, we got $5,000 on this card, and we have the money to get rid of it. And a lot of people say, man, let's not do that. We did. We just like get rid of it, and it hurt.
Oh,
I
it
mean,
does, doesn't it?
it hurt. It's like we could have used that 5,000 differently. But
Yeah.
it's gone. So suddenly, you got more money coming monthly. You feel the effects within months, and then you just keep knocking them down. Pretty soon, you're just like paying cash for everything. Like we just brought in, we did. Oh, by the way, the freeze dryer came in yesterday. So, yeah, I'm so
Yay!
excited, and it's paid for. I mean, uh,
You'll save
yeah,
yourself a
so
ton of money on
everything.
that.
Those things are what?
You'll
Say that
save
again.
yourself a ton of money using
Oh,
that.
I can't. Could you imagine how much how much those buckets of dried food is
Oh, yeah.
for a week is 64 to $100,
Mhm.
and it's like I can kick that out in 24 hours.
Well, and the other thing is you won't have all of the different, preservatives and stuff in it. You'll be making
Yeah,
food that you like. We don't have one. It's on the list. I got other
it's a
things on
lot
the
of
list
money.
right now. It's a lot of money,
And
but,
I made the well, I didn't make the mistake. I got the oilless pump
mhm.
because the other ones, if you look at the this is made by Harvest Right. You have to change the oil On some of them, almost on the old first ones, it was almost every time you did a run.
Yep.
Now the other ones are like 30 days, change the oil.
Mm-hmm.
I know my limitations. And that's why I tell people learn what your limitations are. I would not like to change the oil. I just don't want to deal with it. So
Sure.
I spent more money, and it was definitely makes it more. So made my price tag over 4,000. But if you don't mind changing the oil maybe every 30 days or so,
Yeah, look at
then
the price, what it does with that oil that you have to use, and how many changes you have to make, and you'll see
actually
that.
you reuse the same oil. They just have you dump it out, filter it, and put it back in.
Really?
Yeah, and
The upgrade on that was what, about $800?
pretty close,
Yeah,
something like that. But
I
if
think
you
I think
didn't do that, you could get into that for like 3,500, plus or minus. And
I would have spent the $800.
I did.
Yeah, you did the right thing.
Yeah. So very excited for that. And that's why it's like hard to get a lot of RV talk radio shows out. I tend to get on these shows, and it's like I see what the other people are doing. It's not like I've not been there. It's been there, done that. And so I watch some of these shows now, and it's like some of them I can see they're obviously doing shows because they want the views and they're making money on their YouTube. So
Mhm.
they're, but I tell you one thing would really drive me crazy. Someone pulls up in their very fancy RV and stuff because they want to be showy, and they hop out and pull out one of those stupid drones.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and of course, every other one's doing drone shots. And it's like you're in an RV park with a nice lake and stuff, and there's always someone buzzing a lake with those stupid drones.
They drive me nuts.
And I don't know if they're RVing just for the show, to do the show for our YouTube, or are they actually RVing to have fun?
Some of them are RVing to have fun. There's a few shows out there that they do nothing but this to pay for their being able to go and do this stuff. And I can understand that. I appreciate it, because folks, it's hard work putting a show together and filming it and editing it. I mean, because for every minute of finished film you have, you got about 8 hours of editing.
And then you're running around all day long. Hey, how are you today, David?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, hi, honey. It's always this in your hand, and it drives you crazy after a while. So, and I do a daily show, and it's hard. And
it's a lot of work.
And I'm really happy if I'm able to get 2 shows done in a day. Then I don't have to do one the next day.
There you go. Now you're thinking outside the box.
It gets really old, but yeah. So you got to think about that, guys. If you're gonna think you're gonna make money on YouTube, one is it really is hard to get monetized, but you will if you've got good content. And two, you got to remember that everywhere you go, you got this camera in someone's face, and this is the easiest one to use. There's a lot of people using bigger cameras than this, but
yes,
this is just a regular GoPro 3. I still use 3s.
So do I. It works
The
great.
3s are awesome.
Yep.
I heard that some of the newer ones had audio problems. The 3s are just tough little buggers. It's kind of like buying a car without electric windows.
Exactly. Armstrong windows.
Yeah, and then keep a backup, and so when one dies, and sometimes the beeper goes out on this thing, all this stuff, but it keeps running. And so yeah, good camera. But yeah,
we've been doing a lot of cast iron cooking while we're out on the RV. Plus we do it here at the house too. Stuff. So get everything from Dutch oven to a 12-inch skillet, 10-inch skillet, little 8-inch skillet. Food just tastes better.
I wouldn't even mind talking to you about actually doing a prep show.
Sure.
On a regular basis. One is, does this seem like there's people do prep stuff, but to have a show that's on a regular basis and consistent, I'm not running into a lot of those. Otherwise, I'd have them on my radio station. I was like, well, if I can't find one, I'll make one, because I have so many things I want to talk about, and I want to even talk about it on this show, but it's not always appropriate. But you might find that what we're talking about on RVing is RVing is a lifestyle, and a lot of prepping habits are important to have to be a good RVer.
Bingo.
Especially if you're a boondocker.
Bingo, and so that's it. Exactly.
They do mix. And the other thing, guys, is my power went out for a week in Texas like it did. I just ran out to my RV.
Sure.
I've got it fully fueled up with propane. I got heaters. If we had, that kind of weather, I would have been running. If I didn't have the backups that I do on the house, I would be running off to the fifth wheel, pulling out those slides, setting up the live in and stay warm and cozy all week long. And
Absolutely.
would have been no problem. And if you have an RV, guys, just think about it. It's a prepping tool. And I think you'd agree with me that it does for the short-term emergencies.
Perfect.
Having an RV in your front yard is a damn nice thing to have.
That's exactly. If you think about prepping with an RV, you just nailed it right there. Not just in front of your house, but other places too. Because if you have fires coming through, like you're going to experience that out there where you are now, we have them here. Or if you got a big hurricane coming in, you can grab that and you can go the opposite direction of the storm. You got a place to be able to stay until you're able to get back to where you want to. And then if your house is destroyed, you got something to stay in until you can get it rebuilt. And it's a very useful tool that way.
That it is for sure. But our hour's up.
How about that? Time flies when we're having fun, buddy.
Yeah. So David and I, we met maybe 2 years ago.
Yep. It's been 2 years.
I have a hard time sitting still long enough to catch up with him. And there's so much we have in common. I'd love to do more with you. And I'm going to actually try to have you and I doing RV Talk radios, because you're an avid RVer right now. I'm a has-been avid
Still,
RVer.
you're a still be.
Yeah. But I use mine a little differently. And I also like to analyze what I'm seeing out there.
Sure.
And so I think the mix of the two should be a really good way to go. So I'm looking forward to that. But I got to wrap this up.
Okay, buddy.
Stay on the line. Don't hang up. But we're going to wrap the show up, guys. I want to thank you very much for watching. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our videos all over the whole wide world. We'd appreciate it. And we'll try to get more episodes out sooner. And now, if David's here for me, we'll get more episodes out. So talk to you later, guys. Bye. Thank you very much for watching our video. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our videos all over the whole wide world. Thanks.